Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This has been my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, January 21st. Friendly reminder, the markets are closed on Monday the 20th for Martin Luther King Day. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol RGTI. Been tracking this one on a very routine basis, and today I didn't destroy anything, but yeah, a bit of a bearish day here. Not the best way to end the week. Now, the first update is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So for those of you that watched the video from Thursday, hopefully remember me talking about 1090, but now with the price breaking down below there, you would expect it to act as resistance, and that's actually exactly how it played out. So fell down below it there, try to bounce up and get through it. So just a classic example right there of a support turning into resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce back upwards, 1090 now becomes that main battleground to watch next week as far as resistance areas are concerned. In terms of levels of support, next key level, I'm not going to call it a do or die level, but I would definitely call it pretty important, is down there at that gap location right there at the $9 mark. If the price were to fall down to $9, and then just break down through there, at that point you'd have one of these situations where the price would, begin to be going back to where it was. And I guess you can't see that because it's behind my ugly mug, but right there you can see price going back in this area where the price already was. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make great moves and then go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power. But like I said, there's still quite a bit of room for the price to, before we'd even get down to $9. But nonetheless, these will be the two main dynamics to watch moving forward: 1090 as resistance and $9 as support. Next one, CRKN. Very, very eventful day on this one. Big volume, and now we have some well-defined levels to watch moving into next week. So I want to first start with the key area of support, as I think a lot of people will be watching that trend line right there. So let me change that to green to represent support. And then on the flip side of things, in terms of areas of resistance, main dynamic right up there, or main level right up there at 0.144. So 0.144, and then we have this trend line right there, which is essentially giving us a wedge formation. So I'll keep it to one color so you can maybe see it better. So there's our flat area of resistance. And now that's not exact, because I realized right there the price didn't quite hit that level. Right there the price went above it. So this area right here, just trying to find a middle ground. And like I said, I'm going to call it 0.144, but if you want to call it something slightly different, I mean, it is what it is. We're all, kind of conveying the same dynamic, that there's clearly sellers up around that area. And then in terms of areas of support, we have that down there. So we have this wedge formation. So going into next week, it's just going to be a question of, if this thing fluctuates, then you can notice that the very nature of the wedge is running out of room, which just brings about the question, who's ultimately going to win? Do the bears get the breakout? Do the bulls get the breakout? Do the bears get the breakdown? We'll see what happens. Next one, MARA, and overall very nice move today. Really came back to life again, especially from a volume standpoint. You look down here at the volume, and volume was quite a bit larger than the past several days here. So definitely a lot of people talking about it once again, and we'll see if this momentum carries into next week. So as far as areas of resistance are concerned, no need to overcomplicate this. Literally just a question of, well, where did the party finally stop today? And that was right up there at essentially the $21 mark. So $21, like I said, no fancy reasoning or logic behind that other than just where'd the party stop today. So $21, public enemy number one, headed into next week in terms of whether or not the chart is going to get even more potential upside momentum if this pullback continues. So yeah, no doubt about it right now. A little bit of a pullback, but that's fine. Nothing can go straight up. As long as pullbacks build higher bases, that's the key. And the higher base that I think would make this look the strongest moving forward would be if the price can indeed stay up above that $19.35 mark. So keep an eye on that. But from an overarching standpoint, watch that purple line down here, the 50-period simple moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So it's basically a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So as long as the price is above that overarching quote-unquote trend line, then the overall trend is still in the bull's favor. Next one, ticker symbol GCTK, and overall pretty eventful day. Bit of a pullback here, but I'm still willing to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls, because as of right now, they're sustaining where you'd want to see them sustain, and that is this low right here at 0.082. Now, 0.082 is important because if the price were to fall below there, then you start to get and suffer from the problem that I already talked about before, where the price has gone back to where it was. And like I mentioned earlier, price movements that make great bounces and then all of a sudden go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of true, genuine power. In fact, in terms of trading, we would call those dead cat bounces. So I'm not saying this is a dead cat bounce today, but if the price were to, like I said, go back down to where it was, well then yeah, that would essentially be what a dead cat is. Now, as far as areas of resistance, if this thing wants to turn itself around, in the very near term, the key level to watch from a resistance standpoint is going to be that purple line right there, 50-period moving average, which you can see has knocked down the price already a couple of times. But then more so from an overarching standpoint, you'll want to keep an eye on right up there around the 0.107 mark. So 0.107 more so. Again, kind of just the general area as a key level. But in my opinion, at least, most important thing by far right now is not necessarily breaking levels of resistance, but making sure that it maintains above that area of support because you don't want the price going back to where it was. Next one here, NVDA, which had a good day and gives us a very straightforward setup here headed into next week. So as far as just basic technical analysis and rules when levels of resistance are broken, so for those of you that watched yesterday's video, this area here at 136.50 was an area of resistance, but with the price now above it, you would expect it to act as support, and so far so good. You can see price broke above it, opening 30 minutes, right there found some support. So if there is any sort of pullback, that would be the ideal level that you would want to see hold strong and provide some sort of bounce. But even if the price doesn't, not the end of the world, because you do have that purple line right there, 50-period moving average, which I mean, absolutely beautiful stuff here. Beautiful bounce. Right there, beautiful bounce right off that level. So keep it on that purple line. The chart is clearly respecting that as of right now. And then on the flip side of things, in regards to levels of resistance, it's all about the big brother of the 50-period moving average, and that is the 200-period moving average up here, that pink line, which you can just see. I mean, this is why it's one of those famous moving averages. Just cannot get above it, just sitting down below there. But overall, I'm not saying the price can never, ever get above it. But very clearly today, that is where the sellers have been watching. So that'll definitely be the main breakout point moving forward. And the current value of that right there at 138.25. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use, or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the webpage you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Next one here, ticker symbol GSIT, and have ourselves a nice pattern here. So let's just get this pattern drawn into play. So top part of the pattern, we have this resistance line right there. Next part of the pattern, we have this area of support right there. Change that to green. And then just to make the pattern easiest, let's keep it one color now. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big upwards move right there. And then for you golfers out there, try to make it a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down here. And this would be a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because it's a bullish pattern does not mean for sure guaranteed the price is going to go upwards, but it's certainly more than valid to think that if the price were to come along here, get there, and then break up through there, that break in of itself could create additional buying pressure. So if you like this price range down below $5, you like bull pennants, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, PLUG, and it's been a very rough past couple of days to think that just on Thursday the price was all the way up here, and now it's dropped all the way down here just basically a couple of days later. So overall, yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Now, as I zoom out, you can see that the price is still up above lows, but it has given back a whole lot of its gains from that one right there. So it's really just at least in my opinion, the question being, at what point does this become a dead cat bounce, where you just say, yeah, that chart that was all fake. There was no actual genuine power behind it. And to me, that level is right here at $2.25, because again, and I'm not saying this will occur, but just for explanation's sake, if the price were to come down to 225 and then break down below it, at that point, you quite literally having the price gone right back to where it started before the big move up right there, which would obviously just mean it gave back all those gains. So that would be definitely the line in the sand, 225 of whether or not you'd want to call this a true dead cat bounce. In terms of just overarching levels of resistance, main dynamic right now, that stands out to me is that trend line right there. So any sort of bounce, I really wouldn't get too excited about it until the price can at least prove itself. How am I defining quote unquote prove itself? By getting above and staying above that red line there. So we'll see what happens with it next week. Next one here, TGL, and this is one ugly looking chart, but for you longer time viewers, you know what I'm going to say next. There can be opportunity in the ugly, and the opportunity right now is basically playing out right before our eyes. The price has pulled back all the way from there down to these moving averages, which you've already heard me talk about. Pink line being the 200-period moving average, purple line being the 50-period, and these are very famous levels. They're levels that can produce bounces. And then on top of that, we have this other dynamic where the price is essentially nearing the gap close location in this former breakout area right down here at the 22-cent mark. So does that mean that because you have all these dynamics going on, that this area right here will for sure produce a bounce? Absolutely not. No for sure. So that's why risk management matters. But from a risk reward scenario, if the price were to come down here and then even get a little bit of a modest bounce relative to what was being risked, you could be looking at a very, very favorable situation. So if you are a disciplined trader in the world of penny stocks and you like these sorts of risk reward scenarios, then you might want to keep an eye on this one. Next one here, SOUN. And the one that immediately stood out to me on this one in terms of just technical levels is this area of support, which has now become a common theme in today's video, and that is you want to see prices making progress. You don't want to see prices going back to where they were, and that's what this 1335 mark is essentially representing. You can see price has been down around in this area many times, and if the price were to come down there and break down through there, what would that be doing? Well, that would once again be putting the price right back to where it was, and that's just not what we want. So 1335, very, very important level going into next week for that reason. In terms of areas of resistance, pretty much just have a big overarching trend line here. Now, this trend line is going to vary. I'm sure some people may be connecting different dots, but regardless of how you draw the trend line, it's still going to be telling us that up around this general area of the chart is where sellers have been hanging out. So you're going to want to keep a close eye on that for any sort of breakouts. But in my opinion, like these other charts, the most important dynamic right now is not necessarily breaking levels of resistance. It's can it maintain these areas of support, or is our prices going to be headed back to where they were, which is just not a good sign unless you are bearish. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and I was going to say today, but really not even today, more so just late afternoon. This one finally decided to act human here a little bit and get a bit of a pullback. So a bit of a rough move, came up here, broke through that area of resistance, acted like it wanted to be strong, and then back down it went. So yeah, late day today, not so good, but that's even qualifying it as late day today. Overall today is doing just fine. When you look at where the lows were today and where the lows are now, even if it were to pull back a little bit, it's still doing just fine today. So like I said, the only bearish part about today was late day today. And then you take a step back and look at it even more than just today, and everything is still very much so perfectly fine. You look at each one of these lows, and these lows keep getting higher and higher. And if you envision those as stair steps, you want stair steps, assuming you're bullish, going in the upwards direction like that. So on that note, nothing really to report new in terms of areas of resistance. 435.50 is still the key level of resistance. Now, I would agree that I got weakened up today because the price did spend some time above it, but because the price did ultimately close below it, that would still need to be considered an area of resistance. And then as far as supports, nothing new to report. Still have that level right there at 422.80-ish. And then, of course, you have the moving averages here. The purple line, again, that 50-period moving average. So as the next week plays out and that line draws itself higher and higher, as long as the price stays above there, Tesla is still fully in the bull's control. I will get to Bitcoin here in just a moment, but again, for you stock traders out there, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used, then like I said, next week, go get signed up for the free class. It'll be Thursday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. And also, as far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these and you want to support the channel in a super free and easy way, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help out. All right, now let's talk some Bitcoin. One quick clarification here. I am now on the 4-hour time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 4 hours instead of 30 minutes. And that's because I want, Bitcoin is open 24/7, and I want this analysis to remain relevant for as long as possible. So by looking at a longer time frame and then walking through some questions, that'll allow me to keep this relevant all weekend long. So last time I did it, Bitcoin was still down around here, but it has now gotten the breakout as I drew. And after that red line break, wow, Bitcoin is in beast mode. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of these lines as they've served their purpose for now, and we don't want to clutter up the chart. But the first update just comes about based on, like I said earlier, when levels of resistance are broken and closable, you want to see them act as support. So let's say you're watching this Sunday afternoon sometime. Question number one to ask yourself is, where's the price at relative to the 101,000 mark? As long as you're answering that question that the price is above there, everything is fine. Even if the price, were to be, down around that area somewhere, what would you still have? Well, you'd still have lows there and a low there and a low there. And then you got the stair step still progressing in the upwards direction. So any answer at all that the price is above 101,000, everything is fine. Now, how fine? Well, that's where common sense comes into play. Well, how far above 101 is it? If the price is down here, again, things are fine. Excuse me, if the price is way up here, well, that's telling you that things have gotten even finer, even better. So like I said, common sense will take you far in that regard. Now, if you're saying, well, actually, Clay, the price is down below 101,000, Next immediate question is, okay, well, where's the price at relative to these moving averages here? Right around, let's just call it the 96,000 mark. If somehow you're answering the question that the price is down below 96,000, which would imply the price is down below these levels, then something has gone wrong over the weekend. Now, I highly doubt you're going to be answering the question in that way, but just in case, in the event you are, that would imply that the bears have all of a sudden shown back up in a very big way. But anyway, look at it. Monster movement here from lows right here. Now rocking and rolling all the way up here. So we'll see if that momentum carries into the weekend. And as I invited the stock traders, I'm inviting you as a Bitcoin and crypto trader to definitely get signed up for the free class here, because what you'll learn about can and certainly should be used within the world of Bitcoin and crypto. So like I said, the class will be next week, Thursday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up and I'll see you there. And as I mentioned already, if you enjoy these, if you appreciate me doing Bitcoin, and you want to just support the channel in a super free and easy way, please hit that subscribe button. Like I said, it really does help out. So thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good weekend.